Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game. So today I got a fun and exciting episode for you guys this evening, and mostly fun and exciting for me because Septentrion Out of the Blue has now been translated into English. And if you're not familiar with this franchise, I would not be surprised whatsoever. The original Septentrion came out on the Super Famicom and Super Nintendo and was basically the alternate version of something like Clock Tower, the 16-bit point-and-click adventure game. The entire premise is you are on a cruise ship that ends up suffering a disaster, and then with different characters, you have to save everybody on the ship and try to get the best ending possible. And there was a Japanese exclusive sequel to it, which you're seeing here, Out of the Blue, which up until a few days ago has always been in Japanese, and honestly the amount of depth and instruction in these games makes it almost impossible to poke through them even if you are using a guide next to you when you don't have the ability to read or understand Japanese. But now all of the cutscenes, all of the in-game text, and all of the menus are in full English, meaning that this is basically a playable game where it used to be near impossible to actually take a look at before. And yes, the name of the ship is the King Windsor, and that just makes me laugh every day of the week. But all jokes aside, something like Septentrion is not going to be for everybody. It definitely has a decent amount of jank because it's one of those things. Human Entertainment always had a very distinct design language, and when it hit, it hit. And when they had some issues in 3D, it definitely felt a little bit rough. And this is on the rough side of things, but in all of the best ways possible. And I am just showing you this extended cutscene at the beginning to really set up what's going on in the story, because I'm not going to go too far into the actual game. There are a lot of spoilers that I'm trying to avoid here, because how things happen on the ship and what goes wrong really is a lot of the story that you're going to uncover as you play as different characters. Because it's one of those things, the more characters you unlock, the more bits of the story you're going to get, the more you're going to understand exactly what happens when there is this disaster on the ship. And I do love these FMV cut sequences as well, these pre-rendered videos. They look absolutely stunning and honestly better than the actual game is going to look. But Septentrion is definitely an acquired taste, as are almost all of Humans games. Something like the original Clock Tower, even the 3D versions on PlayStation 1, people either love them or find them a little bit clunky. Something like Mizerna Falls I think is absolutely an amazing 10 out of 10 hidden gem. Other people just aren't that into it. Something like Septentrion is going to be a very difficult game, and you're going to end up getting the bad ending many different times until you actually get the good ending. But that is a lot of the fun, the infinite replayability, and kind of that Clock Tower aesthetic, except on the open ocean where the monster is the boat and the water itself, and not someone like Scissor Man. And that's one of those things. I absolutely love this series, and I'm so glad to have it in English. And if you've never played one before, I can't recommend enough just checking it out and seeing if you click with the game or not. As we actually jump into the game here, you will notice I am playing this on something like Duck Station. I think it actually scales up really well, and you basically get the inciting incident as to what happens with the boat here, but you only get it from one angle, and you're really not going to be 100% sure what disaster befell the boat, nor why the captain here doesn't really seem to be too concerned about it whatsoever. I do love the art style. I love just how everything looks very sterile, like it is just kind of the helm of a ship. And again, you get so many different characters in this game that you're going to have so many different tasks and motivation. You really need to play as everyone, getting every side of the story, and as every character you unlock, you play through, you'll start getting different breadcrumbs of what's going on, and sometimes what you think is going to happen may in fact not happen whatsoever. Almost has the vibes of something like a visual novel, like a Danganronpa, where you have to go through all the chapters to understand every character's motivation. But of course here you do have a full 3D engine, and it is basically a 3D engine platform game. Definitely some of the platforming can be a little bit difficult, but once you understand how the characters control and their movesets, you will start getting better at the game very quickly. It's not a hard game whatsoever. You just need to be in the right places at the right time and do the right things based upon clues around you. But you will see here that that disaster has befell the ship, and you have to wonder why the captain is basically dressed like the villain from Time Crisis. Not quite sure, definitely looks good, but not a captain's uniform in my opinion. The best part is Human Entertainment always had some incredible music for their games as well. I'm going to give you a soundtrack sample in about 45 seconds or so, but trust me when I say this game is so intriguing, and now that it is in English, you're going to be able to enjoy it 100% more than you were before. And I definitely think just give this an hour or two. I think there's a lot to love here, and a lot of people are going to become fans, but here's the music because I absolutely do love it. Absolutely outstanding soundtrack in my opinion, and sometimes Septentrion is going to confuse you. Like, why is this little kid here in a full three-piece suit with a baseball hat on in his stateroom in the middle of the night when this ship actually suffered that disaster? Some of the characters just seem like shrunk down adults that were put into children's bodies, but there are going to be kids in the game that you have to rescue. And that really is the fun thing about Septentrion. Sometimes it's just going to catch you off guard with something that makes no sense, and you're just going to have to run with it. But honestly, Human was always designing games that everyone else basically ignored. Their overall aesthetic, their gameplay style is so unique and so remarkably intriguing, both on the 16-bit consoles as well as the 32-bit era. They were just going left when everyone else was going right. They were zigging when everyone else was zagging, and when they did hit the mark, they made some absolutely incredible games that really did feel special. Now that we actually get control of our character, you will see here that there is this really nice inherent sway in the camera, but you can turn that off as well in the options menu. If you get a little motion sickness, it is nice that they left that in as an option. And right here, even with all those pixels, you're going to see that the hull of the ship is definitely cracking. The captain didn't seem to think that whatever happened was a very big deal, but within a couple of minutes the ship is listing at almost a 45-degree angle and taking on water. And while I might not be an expert sailor, I'm pretty sure if you're a cruise ship captain and your ship is running at 45 degrees and taking on water, you're probably just the teensiest bit fucked in that respect. But it doesn't seem like it's a big deal to him, and that's going to be part of the storyline as to why. And you're going to meet so many different characters throughout the game. You're going to have full dialogue with them. You're going to get their motivations and kind of understand what it is that they're doing and why they're doing it. And a lot of that is going to be contextual clues as to what you might need to do next. So you definitely want to pay attention to each and every conversation. You can't skip through them. The game runs them in real time, and that is because a lot of people are going to tell you bits of information that you're going to want to internalize and remember for the future, because once you actually get a survivor, like we will in just a moment, they need to go to a certain place, and different characters will explain to you where that place is or how to find it. If you don't go the right direction, you can end up dead. If you go the wrong direction and don't get the survivor to the right place, you might be able to continue with the story, but you basically locked yourself out of having the best ending. If you ever played the original Clock Tower before on the Super Famicom, just think of how many different endings were in that game, and then you'll understand what Septentrion is doing as well. But you'll see here that a man has fallen down a hole in the middle of the hallway. Pretty hilarious, and you can jump down in there as well. This is an area in which it's going to teach you both how that you can actually grab ledges and move around the ship, which is going to be crucially important, as well as how you can actually pull people up as well. You're going to have to basically babysit every single character you find in this game. Their pathfinding can be a little bit difficult, but otherwise it does work relatively well and won't completely frustrate you. You'll see here, just bend down and time your grab with him jumping up, and you'll be able to pull him out of the hole and save him. But one more soundtrack sample, because again, I can't stress how good this game sounds. 35 seconds and I'll be right back with more. I love that the music is both dramatic as well as swelling at the same time, and I love this is how we swim. We just basically tippy-toe around the ground while moving our arms. It doesn't seem like anybody is nervous whatsoever that they're underwater, and somehow you can go through this door now and you do not end up bringing the water in with you, which obviously you know anything about fluid dynamics, that wouldn't be possible in real life, but in the world of Septentrion, it just actually happens. And if that isn't just David Bowie in the back there, I do not know who it is. From the hair to the eye overall shape, even to the facial features, they just basically copy and pasted David Bowie onto a character in a video game, and I absolutely love that. You'll see here we did find the save room, and you definitely want to save often, but be careful. If you feel like you're really close to failing an objective, maybe don't save, or maybe use another save, because you can end up in a situation where you just lock yourself out of that best ending, and you can just kind of navigate down this hall here in the most hilarious way possible. I'm not saying Septentrion out of the blue is a hidden gem game. It definitely is B tier and a little bit janky, but the story is absolutely incredible now that we have it in English, and it is a very particular and special type of game. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it, but you definitely should give it a shot, because maybe it'll be your next favorite game, or maybe it'll just be a fun translated curiosity. More done. I'm going to keep swimming, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.